when we first opened up the location, it was more so like put as many recovery modalities or biohacking modalities that you can in this facility and see what sticks. Cryo was a great one at first for us, and then infrared sauna did well for us, but we really noticed that people really saw a benefit with myofascial release, the assisted stretching, the fascial stretch therapy that we offer, and then also the IV drips. So we scaled down, to the higher performing services. And that's kind of what we're focusing on pushing forward with Muscle Lab.
Welcome to the Prehab Podcast, your source of expert insights, breakthrough technology, and business strategies shaping the future of physical therapy. Our guest today is Vatche Ourishian, co-founder of Muscle Lab, a leading recovery center based in Southern California that's redefining how people approach wellness and performance. We talked today about how Muscle Lab started, what's working in their business model, scaling a service-based business, building a team, and how recovery is becoming just as important as training is. I want to give you a quick heads up. Just before we started recording, our guest team actually hooked me up to NAD IV drip. That's right, I did this podcast with a needle in my arm and a bag of NAD fueling me the entire time. NAD is a core offer at Muscle Lab, and I decided to give it a try. Whether you're a business owner, fitness enthusiast, or you just want to feel and perform better, this episode is for you. Let's dive into it. All right, everyone, we got Vatche here, and this is a special episode because this is the first podcast that we have in the new space. And on top of that, we got hooked up to some NAD over here, which we'll talk about later in the episode. But Vatche, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me, brother. Thank you.
Vatche and I's relationship goes back to 2015, 2016, when I was a student at Glendale Adventist, and you were there, and we connected over TheraX because a lot of the schooling systems nowadays, especially for PT school, it doesn't really educate people on proper exercises. And so that's where we first connected. And then fast forward a few years later, you started Muscle Myths, and we connected over content creation and debunking some common mistakes. And then fast forward a couple of years from there, we're to today where both of us have different businesses. And what I wanted to dive in a little more today with is kind of your journey of getting started and growing and expanding Muscle Labs, which now has 2 locations. So I'll start it off with like a question regarding what inspired you to start in the first place. I never really heard the origin story.
Yeah, to start Muscle Lab, we originally wanted like a whole training facility, kind of something that you can go in there, you can train, you can also recover. More so focused on the training side, but we did a little bit more market research, and we started finding out that there's new training facilities that open up, 2 to 3 a month open
all
up
the time. Yeah.
So yeah, there's new fads that come out. So we sailed that idea, and we really dialed in on recovery. So yeah, that was kind of like the idea that we had behind Muscle Lab. Is just creating a full recovery center.
I know that you guys offer so many different things. How do you find the proper tools between like infrared sauna, cryo, cupping, massage? There's so many things that you guys offer, but I know that we talked even slightly before this, but like the goal is to be known for less things really well, kind of like what you were just talking about, where it's training and recovery, but now it's just focusing on the recovery piece really well. But even with recovery, there's a lot of different things that could be part of that. So how do you kind of find what is best suited for you guys to really push with?
Yeah, I mean, client reviews go a long way, right? So when we first opened up the location, it was more so like put as many recovery modalities or biohacking modalities that you can in this facility and see what sticks, right? Cryo was a great one at first for us, and then infrared sauna did well for us, but we really noticed that people really saw a benefit with myofascial release, the assisted stretching, the fascial stretch therapy that we offer, and then also the IV drips. So we scaled down, to the higher performing services. And that's kind of what we're focusing on pushing forward with Muscle Lab.
Got it. Yeah. Sticking to those. And in terms of the first location being in Pasadena, the second one opened 6 months ago in Studio City. So in that situation, are you guys focused on those few modalities? Is your value proposition in terms of how you guys are getting the word out?
Yeah, most definitely. That's what kind of differentiates us, is we have like our in-house certifications that we kind of teach all of our therapists. And we've created like a nice culture now where it's like we teach them the hands-on modalities, and yeah.
In terms of growing the business, if there was like a big unexpected obstacle that you had along the way? I know there's always a lot of troubleshooting, but is there anything that you did not anticipate as you were
COVID?
Yeah.
Definitely
For
COVID.
sure.
When we were building out Muscle Lab, I think maybe a month before our opening date, which was May 1st, our opening day, is when we went into lockdown. So
No way.
that was pretty hard.
That's right. So it was that year that you guys were launching. So how did you guys navigate that?
Well, we were able to stay open because we had like a medical license.
Right.
So thank God
Yeah.
we were able to operate, but obviously no one was leaving their homes. You got to try to convince them to leave the house. Luckily, we had like a strong support system. We're all Armenian, so
Yeah.
we have a strong support system
For sure.
around us.
How about in terms of growing and scaling the business? Were there any unexpected difficulties or obstacles there? Because it's a lot different. What I've realized, it's a whole different skill set to go from 0 to 1 than it is to go from 1 to many, with whether it's a brick and mortar location or it's just scaling a product type business like what we're doing with the app and the library.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, we're still tested till this day.
Yeah.
We have inventory issues. Like, for example, we were short on lactated ringers for how many months? We were short for like 3-4 months almost. There was a shortage because there was a flood in Tampa or something.
That's
so
right.
There's always like unforeseen circumstances that are always going to like really impact your business.
When you've grown one location, it's a skill set of itself because you can be there the whole time.
Yeah.
But when you go to the second location, it's not like you're full time at that location, right?
Yeah.
You got to separate your resources, and you have to, at some point, trust other people to kind of make the decisions on their own.
Yeah.
You have to have more, operating procedures in place, to have systems to allow for people to work through. And it's like almost a different skill, at least I've realized.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see if there's anything else that you realized
definitely.
as you were scaling.
I mean, it's all in the core team that we have. We've hired some great like
Yeah.
And we have like a great manager in Pasadena that's really taken on that role. And obviously we have like a nursing manager that kind of like oversees the whole operation as well.
Got you.
So training protocols. And then we just built out like almost like a therapist Bible where anyone can pick it up and then open up their own location. So yeah, everything is kind of in this book that we've created.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you've created a system.
Down to how many feet are in between each chair, down to how many feet are in between each table. Like down to the square footage of everything as well.
And this encompasses even how to operate the business with like the front desk to the service provider to what's being done. Speaking of like the team that you guys have and how the business is structured, I'm curious on the operations side, how do you set up the framework for the seats and the talent that you guys have?
The current operation is set up with 1 nurse on staff at all times and then 2 to 3 therapists. I'm usually there in the beginning of a build out, especially for the new location. What I try to do is be the only therapist, and then I slowly bring in one, then the other, because we only have 3 tables. So I try to be there at all times, especially in the beginning phase, to kind of watch how the operation's going, and then I slowly exit.
So then you have 1 front desk for 3 therapists, ideally.
We don't have a front desk. We don't do front desk.
Okay.
No. Everyone in-house is a therapist or a nurse.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. That makes it easy. So a lot of the scheduling and all that is done virtually.
Yeah, the nurses.
And then how about if there are questions about scheduling or if someone calls the phone, who picks up?
Great question. Well, still figuring out a few problems. It could definitely get out of hand sometimes. Yeah. But this is a pretty quick setup, right?
Yeah.
So the nurses are usually free flowing. After your setup, it's just monitoring for NAD. The other drips don't really need a monitor. So the nurses are kind of free flowing and they can go onto the calls. They can help out if anything's needed. They can do compression therapy for anyone that wants a Normatec.
I see.
So yeah, that's
So there's downtime in between
There
to
is.
answer that, maybe emails as well.
Correct.
Okay.
But again, it does get very busy sometimes. So
Yeah.
that's why he's.
Yeah, makes sense. I see his response.
Yeah.
How about finding the talent that you need? Like, how do you go about finding that?
Yeah. This was definitely the hardest part because we have a great like core team. They're all amazing. We just started this internship program with Cal Poly Pomona and then CSUN as well, where if you're kind of majoring in kinesiology and you're uncertain, we have this really cool internship program for 6 weeks. And then if if we see a future for you, then you can potentially end up on the team or, find a place within Muscle Lab.
Oh, interesting. So then they come, they learn from one of the therapists or nurses there. And then it's almost a form of recruiting, like kind of like how it's actually very common in the PT world as well. People bring on students and, get somewhere between 6 week to 3 month clinical rotation in the mix. And then based on the fit, you get an understanding at that point. I mean, within 6 weeks, you should have a decent understanding. 3 months for sure, you'll have an understanding. That's how long most probationary periods even are. But so then from there, that will help hopefully give you guys the talent that you need. That would be the idea.
Yeah, it's exactly like a rotation. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's exciting. That's fun. Speaking of which, we have a service that I'm hooked up to, NAD. Give me a brief breakdown of why you think something like this is useful. This is the first time I'm doing NAD, and we'll see how I feel afterwards. But give me a quick breakdown of why
I use it for energy.
Yeah,
I love it. I'm hooked on this. I do this once every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Once every week sometimes if I'm having a rough week, but really helps with cognitive memory.
Yeah.
Helps with sleep. Really helps me go to sleep at night.
Yeah. That's great.
It's been a huge game changer in the gym as well. Really helps you push.
How much after you do this do you notice the benefits typically?
I really felt a difference after my third week.
Third week. Okay.
Third week of doing consecutive.
Each week.
Yeah.
And then you do this consistently. What about, there's also, I think, like a nasal version of it as well?
Yeah. We're actually working on launching
our
version of that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to be metabolized differently than IV.
Correct.
But it's a much more easier way to potentially get people to use the product.
Of course. And then it actually helps prolong the benefits of this if we, with our nasal. So let's say you do this 250.
Yeah.
Let's say you start doing the nasal spray once every day or once every 2 days. It'll help prolong the benefits of this.
I see. So it's almost like an adjunct to this core usage to extend it out. That makes sense. So that way, if it's difficult to have someone come in, they can still get the benefits for as long as possible. Okay.
Correct. It's a pretty pricey service, so we try to help them as much as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then going back to the growth of your business, is there anything that you feel like has helped you as the leader of the business grow yourself or the business? I know for us, like we've done some business academies, coaching, mentorship. I'm curious to see if there's something that you feel like helped you accelerate.
Yeah, definitely having mentors that you can reach out to at any point.
Yeah.
Like I reach out to you sometimes. I reach out to Dr. Nima.
Yeah.
I reach out to Vinny, BioDetox.
Yeah.
These are all people that they can really relate to your issues. They can relate to your problems. And really help you stay focused because it's very easy to give up at some point. So
yeah. Speaking of staying focused, I know that's a big theme for our business as well, because there's always so many different things that you could be doing all the time. And Steve Jobs actually popularized this idea of focus is measured based on the quality of things that you're saying no to. So if you're saying no to things that provide a positive ROI, because something else is more important, that allows you to stay more focused. And that's what oftentimes entrepreneurs have, is they find opportunities, right? And they want to capitalize on those. And the difficult part is finding out what to double down on versus trying to do everything, especially as you did initially. You try it all, see what sticks, lean out the things that have less ROI because there's costs associated to continuing to do those things. So how do you stay focused in such a busy, crowded environment?
I think it's just sticking to the plan that you had.
Yeah.
Right. It's always just like, how risky is this, right? How much is this going to take away from what we're really focusing on? Is it worth the risk? We've had very bad situations, right, where we invest our time and energy into something and it doesn't return, and you just wasted the most valuable thing, which is your time.
Totally.
So, but yeah, I think the way that you can really navigate if it's worth your time or not is how much it could impact what you're really focusing on. If it's going to impact it too much, then we try to stay away from it now.
Do you guys have a certain metric that you guys focus on a week over week or month over month basis is like your North Star metric of this is what we want to move the needle for, versus some of the other metrics maybe not so important?
Yeah. Obviously, client retention. Client retention is the most important thing. Getting clients in the door is not our problem. Andy's an absolute wizard. My business partner is an absolute wizard at marketing. He can get people in the door. It's up to our therapists and our nurses to maintain and to keep them recurring. So that's our main metric that we look at.
Got it. In retention, are you guys measuring it by if that individual that comes in comes back in, or
whether it's a rebooking at the end of the session or whether it's a rebooking 2 weeks later?
I see.
Just keeping the client satisfaction as high as possible goes a lot further.
Makes sense.
Yeah. No. Any value at the end of the day.
Totally. A lot of that just has to do with their experience. That first session makes a lot of sense. And then with Andy and his ability to create leads, is it mainly through paid efforts?
Yeah, paid mainly.
Paid.
And then influencer marketing, what we, our natural relationships that we've built out throughout the years.
Yeah. How much of it is based on other clients that have come in that are referring their friends and family?
Yeah, definitely a lot as well. We also ran a bunch of ads where it's bring your friend in as well. Those really helped a lot.
I see.
Yeah.
So the paid efforts are typically revolving around some sort of offer, it seems like.
Always. To get them in the door. Everyone likes a discount rate.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because even for our clinic, when we do have some sort of offer, let's say 50% off your first visit or $100 off, it's easy to get someone in the door. But then to your point, if they're discounted on their first session, it's harder to get them to pay the full price afterwards.
Of course.
So now it becomes a different issue. And so I think one of the most important things that you can do as a leader for the business is try to find what the biggest constraint currently is and fix that, because you can always work on all parts of the business at all times. And that's something that we've really doubled down on, is let's find where we feel like the constraint currently is, or the bottleneck, and focus on that. And so for the clinic side, for us, is actually lead generation more than anything, because once people come in, the retention is actually fairly good.
It's amazing.
Yeah. But it makes sense. So we need to talk to Andy about some lead generation tactics. That's what I'm getting at here.
For sure. Definitely.
That's cool. I follow you on social media, obviously. I see you working with people like Miley Cyrus and Jake Paul. How does someone go about, or if you have some recommendations for someone to go about dealing with some high-end clientele? I'm curious to see how you got started, and any suggestions that you might have for others out there.
Yeah. Free work.
Yeah.
Free work always.
Yeah.
You got to give free work, and then, hopefully it ends up leading to a strong referral. But in the beginning, it's always just free work and helping people, not expecting anything back in return, just waiting. But free work, man. Free work.
Yeah.
I remember I would sit on Instagram for hours just DMing people.
Yeah.
On Muscle Labs page. Just be like, hey, would love to have you swing by sometime, whatever. And then just constantly just trying to engage higher and higher influencers, and then at some point you get nice referrals. So that really helped.
Interesting.
But stay away from the high-end clients. You don't want to deal with them.
Well, I was going to ask you, how is that different than working with the average individual?
Yeah, I mean, they're normal people.
Right.
Some of them are just really high-performing athletes that, deteriorate their body throughout the weeks, and, those days really stack up. But I think just treating them like normal people is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just want to talk, man. Sometimes you already know how it is.
Yeah.
People just want to talk to you more than actual treatment. So.
Yeah, and you got to be there.
You got to be there. Just got to listen.
Yeah. No, I get that. And what you reminded me of is Gary Vee wrote a book called Jab, 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 Right Hook. Basically, the idea is you give, and then you can ask for something in response to all the giving. And that's kind of the same idea why social media as a whole works, is you're providing, whether it's education or entertainment, you're providing one of the two, and over enough time you build trust with the individual. And hopefully if you provide an offer or a service that you can sell somebody on, at that point they want to, and they want to support you or the business or the brand, because you've already provided so much value to that individual. But I didn't realize that's how you got started in that industry, but that's great. And it seems like you navigate both working with clients and working in the business now. Both? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. It's fun.
Yeah. No, working with clients is definitely very enjoyable, and you get the ROI pretty immediately, actually, which is nice to be able to help somebody. On the business, you see the testimonies, you see the reviews come in. That's definitely a nice little dopamine boost when you read those, but it's delayed. It's like 2-3 months after the person has been getting helped and notices the benefit and the return of all the efforts that the team is helping out with. So yeah, having the good balance there, I could see how is nice to have.
Do you enjoy the business side or the practitioner side?
I really enjoy the one-on-one aspect of things. I've moved away a little bit just based on the nature of the opportunity of where we're at with the business and growing the team, and really trying to use the North Star metric of impacting 100 million people within 10 years. That's really our goal. If you make decisions based on a bigger mission, it makes these little issues that you're thinking about much easier to figure out the solution for. Yeah. So, based on that goal, we realized we can't do that with just one-on-one care. You can only scale that to so far. We're still providing high quality care with prehab physical therapy, but the goal is to really expand the care that we're giving in other ways through social media and through our app, in order to scale to the point that we want it to and impact the lives that we want. You look at like the amount of money spent on MSK injuries in the US, it's insane. Like $420 billion last year just on MSK injuries. So and this is just the US, right? And you guys are solving a similar problem as well. There's just and that's like the number one most expensive chronic condition to treat is MSK injuries, or issues as a whole. So finding solutions outside of this broken healthcare system that I shouldn't say broken. It is broken, but it's largely because it's outdated. It worked for what it was, decades ago, but the landscape has vastly changed. So going off of that, I know there's some interesting new projects that you're working on, but what's next for Vatche?
We're working on an in-house certification.
Yeah.
Where when I was in college, I was kind of like, I majored in kinesiology, exercise science. 80% of my class said that they wanted to be physical therapists. I was one of them. 3 to 5% actually became physical therapists.
Really?
Yeah. So we're kind of helping create like a new career for them, in a sense, where it's almost like personal training, strength conditioning, recovery, where it has like a mixture of physical therapy and massage as well. So we're very excited about that. It should be launching early next year.
How much of this has to do with what you were talking about earlier with that playbook that, that operating procedure that you're
largely
to? Okay.
It's almost like we're practicing with our in-house team and our new hires right now. And then now we're going to scale to the masses next year.
How long does that process take typically?
Our hands-on is getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
So our goal is to make it like within a week span.
Oh.
Like to actually educate, like certify them.
Yeah.
But right now it takes roughly around a month.
Okay. Okay. For the full onboarding, and then after that they start working with their own clients.
Yeah. Now they're hands-on.
Hands-on. Makes sense. What are you most excited about with that certification?
Solving a problem that I think is a big problem. I was so lost in college. I was like, I want to be a physical therapist, but I was so focused on the content creation. I really like that. And I was honestly looking up to you guys so much. And I still do. But you guys were like, I remember I was sitting at the front desk at Therapy and Wellness Center, and I was like, man, that's Arash. That's the prehab guy.
Yeah, that's
and
funny.
then I like geeked out for a second, and I was like, oh man, like, you know, I want to get his number. And that's actually what happened. You gave like a very soft version of the story. I was geeking.
I didn't know that side of it.
I was geeked to meet you, bro. I was
That's
geeked
funny.
to meet you.
That's funny.
And yeah, and then I just followed what you guys did, and I tried to stay as consistent as I could on social media, starting posting like therapeutic exercises and
no, I hear you. It's definitely a difficult time for people to find their career path. There is so much noise, and the commitment is so high to any grad program. I think most people go get their bachelor's degree at some point and, you know, typically finish that. But the big decision of going to grad school or not, how that looks, it's becoming more expensive. The healthcare system as a whole is not setting providers up very well either. And, you know, my partner, Mike, has talked about burnout. We have a whole podcast talking about burnout in the healthcare space. And it's tough because reimbursements going down make it more difficult for providers to create the revenue that they used to create. So they have to see more patients. For them to see more patients, they have to work harder if they care about the patient, you know, and that's what I'm finding is like the providers that care the most are the ones that burn out the quickest because they want to provide that high quality care, but volume's increasing and they can only expand that to a certain degree. And once they get beyond that point, which is what's happening, they start burning out. So yeah, the healthcare system is tough. And that's why our cash-based clinic is going around the system. Our app is going around the system. Muscle Lab is going around the system to allow for both the professional and the client or patient to get the help that they need. You know, we're looking at these numbers of like $420 billion spent per year on MSK injuries. And on top of that, we still have the highest amount of other chronic conditions compared to other countries. And so it's what we're spending on is not even working, and there has to be better solutions. So I'm happy that we're finding you're helping you're part of the change. We're part of the change and allowing for some sort of solution to happen, because we can't hold our breaths for insurances to change. That model is not going to change. If anything, it's declining. It's getting worse and worse. So that's awesome.
The good thing is I think people are more aware of this now.
Yeah.
Whereas like before it was almost like, oh yeah, I got to go to physical therapy, and then they go and it's not what they expect because again, quality care is decreased because everyone's trying to work at, like, you know, they're kind of fed up with the plan of cares and creating all this patient documentation that, you know, you go see your physical therapist, you see them for 15 minutes, and then after that they're documenting for the most part.
Totally.
Which, you know.
Even our app, the number one reason why people join the app is because they've tried traditional physical therapy and it obviously didn't create success. Yeah. If it created success, they wouldn't be joining the app in the first place. Mm-hmm. And so it's unfortunate that that's the case, where you see PT, you get handed off to an aide 70%, 75% of the time, oftentimes is just with the aide. And not that aides are terrible, but, you know, there's got to be some sort of oversight and adjusting with PTs or PTA to allow for or someone that has some sort of better understanding than, you know, just a degree that hasn't been properly trained or educated. So it's difficult. And I think in more popular cities like LA, San Fran, New York, you see more of these solutions, Austin, and hopefully we can lead the way in creating the standards so that these other cities outside of these bigger cities can kind of follow suit. I think it's only a matter of time, but if the people understand that there are other solutions, I think they will follow. Definitely. I think it's just it's not fully understood, but it's definitely trending that direction.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I think people are valuing proactive care more than ever before as well, where people aren't waiting to just get hurt or sick or whatever it might be, and they're doing NAD proactively. They're getting stretch work done every so often because they've experienced what pain is like. And I always thought to myself, the goal was to limit all musculoskeletal pain, but I'm like, no, that can't be it either, because people have to experience that to create some sort of behavior change. And then once that behavior change happens, then they can focus on being more proactive to minimize that issue from reoccurring. So that's kind of where my head's at now. And if we can try to provide as much value with, proactive care and this idea of pushing prehab before someone gets hurt, I think the world is going to be in a lot better place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what I love about your brand so much, man. Is like the actual name of it.
Yeah.
Just speaks so much. It just speaks volumes.
Yeah. It's at first it was definitely difficult for people to understand the purpose and the mission. Over the last, it's almost been 10 years now, which is crazy. Over the last decade, you hear people like Huberman and Peter Attia really push this narrative of longevity and proactive care. And I think that's created a bit of this narrative shift, in addition to people realizing that, the healthcare system, and like, even if you go see a PT that's great to fix your shoulder pain or back pain, you can get out of that shoulder or back pain. But once you've had that injury once, your risk of reoccurrence is very high for that same issue. Like the highest risk for an injury is having that previous injury. And that's where a lot of people now realize that they need to do something consistently to maintain their health. So yeah, hopefully people resonate a little more now than they did a decade ago. Okay, so I want to jump into the closing tradition that we have here. The question that I have for you is, if you were starting today, what's the one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Man, be ready for failure multiple times. We failed so many times, and just having the mental capacity to actually like push through, horrible situations like COVID and supply chain issues, staffing, all those issues, they can really play a toll on you. And
how do you think someone could be better prepared for failure? Because it's a catch-22, because you have a plan, and when the plan doesn't go as expected, it throws you off. And it's hard to anticipate these things, especially knowing that, as an entrepreneur, you never don't know what you don't know. I should rephrase that. You don't know what you don't know. And so when these things happen, like, you just got to kind of roll with the punches. But do you have any advice for how to handle those?
You just got to be quick to adjust. Luckily, I have a business partner that's good with that as well. He's more on the business side. So he's good with adjusting to issues, like common issues like this. So having a good business partner is obviously very important as well. Yeah, I know you, Craig, and Mike, you guys have known each other for how long?
11 years now. No. Yeah, 11 years. Yeah.
Wow. You guys met in school?
Grad school. Yeah.
So me and Andy grew up together as well. Yeah.
That's helpful.
Middle school.
Then what is your primary focus?
The operation. The operation, everything that goes in there, staffing, all of that kind of goes through me. And then he's more on the analytics side, marketing analytics.
Got you. Makes sense. So how can people find you if they're looking up Vatche or Muscle Labs? What's the easiest place for people to look up?
musclelab.la, and then contact@musclelab.la.
Perfect. Love it.
Love it.
Thanks for hopping on, Vatche.
Thanks, bro.
Good conversation. Thank you, man.
Thank you, bro.